That guy who filmed us when we were about to start again, he warned his Antifa friends in a group on social media to say that you were there. He's heading to Chatouilly with 2 men and what looks like an entourage of fanatics.
Here, we are at the place where Alice Richard, 24, was struck down by a repeat offender who was doing reckless car stunts.
All right, that's Brest before World War II. We're neglected in Bellevue. Do you feel neglected? I think so.
Neglected?
Don't assume only Muslims live in Palestine. There are Christians too, and they're persecuted just like Muslims. You see what I mean? Okay?
But what's the connection with France? Goodbye. Let's go, let's go. If we stay another 15 minutes, things could get out of hand. Let's go.
The crowd it attracted in just a few seconds. There are always people, I think, who are interesting to talk to in this kind of place.
That's the whole paradox.
You shouldn't reject everything. Anyway, that's where the solution lies. Because that's what I've been doing for years. Coming to see things for myself, talking to people on the spot. Here, this is one of the most problematic neighborhoods in Brest Cargo at Bellevue. And yet, it's just greenery. There's a school complex here. There are beautiful detached houses just to our right. There is everything you need to succeed, to live a good life. Unfortunately, things are going poorly.
I didn't have time to explore the poverty issue further. But still, there is money coming into these neighborhoods from the state.
There are tens of millions of euros in these neighborhoods. Look, to maintain all this greenery, all these green spaces, there's the school complex. How do you expect? And anyway, I'm not the one you can come and tell these stories to, because I was born and raised in Turkey, in a very poor neighborhood of Istanbul. I didn't have any of this at all. We didn't have any green spaces, we didn't have a soccer field, a basketball court, a community center with activity leaders. That doesn't exist anywhere except in France. I didn't have a tram passing in front of my house to take me to the city.
But neither did I, you know. I grew up in the middle class, lower middle class in France. Me, I didn't go to anything special. There was no community center. I didn't have a youth leader on weekends. I was in my room, I had fun with my brother, I played soccer with my friends in a small, somewhat abandoned soccer field. I mean, there weren't any amazing facilities either. And I didn't become a delinquent, you know.
So here you still have a daycare. You see we're in the Kerguat neighborhood, which is part of the larger Bellevue housing project.
And it's a tough place, you know.
The young man who was killed lived right there.
All right.
I came to the memorial march for him, for Sere Soumaila, and he was killed in the parking lot of the other neighborhood that makes up the big Bellevue complex, which is called the Bahamas. Damn.
I have to admit, I'm not totally at ease. The danger is getting cornered, Nazim.
Well, we're going to try to avoid that. We're going to try to get out of here. Here they do stunts. We see the trains. That is on the tram tracks. Oh, yeah? Yeah. I didn't see. And the young man who was next to us on his bike, I don't know if you noticed him earlier. He was there next to us too. We're really, really being watched.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going. Please get out of here. Please make sure you get out of here.
Hey, were you stressed, Vincent Lapierre? This is nothing compared to last time. Are you all right?
No, but it can get out of hand very quickly.
It can get out of hand very quickly.
We're down to the minute here. Yes, of course. Just a little excitement. Someone shouting, "He's a fascist," or a rumor spreading is all it takes.
If you heard earlier, there was a guy behind with his arm in a sling. He told me, "It's fine. What are you doing here? We know you. Get out of the neighborhood. We know you. Yeah, but I'm not the one watching over the meal anyway." You're not here? The last time I came here was to take part in the memorial march.
I heard it while I was talking to the others. I could hear it, you know.
I was thinking we'd go down to Cargoat and interview passers-by, local residents and all that. Indeed, it's something that can quickly get out of hand.
Just like that. I've experienced that dozens of times.
The attack happens quickly.
I had my car windshield smashed while I was stuck in a parking lot. Oh yeah? Yeah, it can get out of hand really fast. You never know how it might end, you know. Because there's the group effect, the pack mentality.
Well, here, there are several people around, so in case of an attack, there are people who can step in. You see, a police car just drove by right next to us. Really? Yeah, it's much less. We risk insults, maybe a minor attack, but not a serious, dangerous one.
No, what I see is that we've reached this point, Brest, at the tip of Brittany. Here's where we are. We're here too. When you see this in the suburbs of Paris or Lyon, you understand.
It's been 5 years now that with the neighborhood watch we've been warning. I've been warning people and so have my colleagues. And be careful, it's coming to Brest really fast. One day here, we're going to talk about death because of wild rodeos, about murder. And back in 2021, when I said that, people made fun of me. They said I was a crazy extremist, maybe even a Turkish far-right extremist, an agent of Erdogan, talking nonsense, exaggerating. Young people used to ride motorcycles a bit, but it was nothing like the rodeos in Paris or Marseille. In Brest, there were no murders, just small shootouts to scare each other. And in 4 or 5 years, 2 people died because of the illegal rodeo, plus a third, a 30-year-old soldier who survived, but only miraculously because he was beaten up by about 20 people. In Bellevue, where we went, he was stabbed 3 times in the leg. He only survived by luck. So we can count 3 deaths because of the illegal rodeo in Brest since I founded the neighborhood patrol, and 2 score settling murders. We're right in the middle of a Marseille-style atmosphere. Not in quantity, but in quality. It's the same thing.
Just to tell you a detail, we had an informant who was far from us in the Bellevue neighborhood when I was doing the interviews. So he was behind the young people and he saw a young guy who filmed us and said, "I'm going to warn everyone that this dirty fascist is here." He took his bike and started going around the neighborhood. And actually we saw him again later when we were in the car. Yes?
He followed us around the neighborhood on his bike. It's a shame.
Really, what I was saying was true. They were going to call some guys to forcefully kick us out of the neighborhood. Okay, let's continue. Elizabeth, hello?
Hello, Vincent.
What happened here?
Well, here there was a stabbing involving an Afghan. So this is a busy street. It was in front of that bar over there at Tikal. Well, more precisely, his friend was refused a beer by the owner. And he called his other friend, actually, who came armed with a knife to terrorize the customers, okay? There you go.
At that moment, some police officers arrive.
It's actually a bit longer. They started terrorizing. The boss and some customers tried to get them out. Meanwhile, they called the anti-crime police unit, who arrived quickly. They tried to taser him, but failed because the guy was covered. He was wearing 3 pairs of pants, 3 tracksuits, so the taser didn't work, and then he started to run. He crossed the Recouvrance Bridge. I'm a police officer's wife. My husband was on break. He was about to take his break. And he was alerted via the surveillance cameras that a guy was running with a knife. There was really a crowd of people moving in all directions. It was really quite frightening in the footage. So in a second, the 3 of them left to meet up at the bottom of Rue de la Porte, after the Recouvrance Bridge. There he was, in front of another bar, repeating his actions and frightening locals and customers. He clearly stabbed his knife into a barrel, the kind of barrels we used to have a drink. And then he brandished his blade in front of the cops, really showing that he was ready to fight. My husband said he had intense, determined eyes. Despite drinking, he was set on stabbing them. And then a first police officer tried to taser him again. It didn't work. And the guy, instead of running away, attacked the police officer and stabbed him in the calf. So it was still a 7-centimeter wound, very deep. And then my husband and another colleague wanted to keep pursuing him. The problem was he ended up facing the window of a very busy bar where people had gathered behind the glass. So neutralizing him with a service weapon was impossible. And he grabbed what was within reach, a big rolling trash bin. He threw it at him. He grabbed him by the hair, he put him on the ground, and that's when they were able to apprehend him and stop his attack.
And so there, your husband got he
was injured. He's not the one who got stabbed in the calf. He was injured. Actually, his nail got pushed into his thumb. And he had the left side of his nose split open with 4 stitches. Wow.
Okay.
But the guy was arrested. And tried. That was the goal. He was tried in fast-track proceedings quite quickly. So you should know that the young court-appointed lawyer was actually afraid of the Afghan at first, clearly. She didn't want to be in the same room as him. She said she was really scared of this guy who was actually quite frightening, and she handed the case over to another lawyer who took it on. And we were actually convinced that he was going to plead. That he'd plead insanity or intoxication, that it was going to be postponed again. And finally, in fast-track proceedings, he heard the sentence, a lenient sentence. But still, he got 4 years in prison. He was facing 10 years. He only got 4 years. But it's already, let's say, it's already incredible that he's going behind bars right away.
Only 4 years, so he might end up serving just a little over 2, you know?
So if he behaves well, maybe yes, they'll let him out earlier. Also, this sentence comes with a kind of gimmicky measure since he's Afghan, but it's a ban from remaining in France. So my question is, where are we going to send him when he gets out if he can't be here anymore? I mean, you see, it needs to make sense too.
He can't go to Afghanistan because he's a political refugee.
Right? He's Afghan, so he's a refugee. The country is at war. We can't send them back.
He will stay with us.
So that's already 4 years in prison at our expense. And then he will stay with us because we've taken them in. I think there are more than 100,000 Afghans in France, mostly men, about 90%. They are 5 to 15 times overrepresented in serious crimes and offenses in France and Europe. In fact, it's a very crime-prone population. They have cultural codes that are completely opposite to ours. They arrive without background checks and we don't know their origins. And they're here, free to move around. And we really have a lot of cases of Afghans committing crimes or offenses. I'm talking about Brest, but also about Brittany in general. In 2021, there was a 12-year-old boy from Saint-Brieuc who was raped by an Afghan. And the psychologist who evaluated this person said that they really have cultural codes that are completely opposite to ours. For example, if you say hello to an Afghan or meet their gaze, which I learned after the trial, though I shouldn't have, it means you are consenting to a sexual relationship. These people aren't like us. This young man suffered for it because, well, she also mentioned bachabazi. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a cultural tradition in Afghanistan that involves putting young boys into sexual slavery. Since they consider women to be really impure, in the end they turn to young boys. So when you're a young man, the only thing you're waiting for is to grow a beard so you can avoid being raped. That's what we're actually importing here. There are Afghans living in social housing from BMH, Brest Metropole Habitat, so that's public housing, who live as if it's the Taliban era, on carpets. My husband has already gone over, called by the neighbors because they heard young girls screaming, so they knock on the door. The young girl came out, but without complaining about anything. I don't know what happened, and they don't know either. And he comes into this room with carpets spread everywhere and 3 Afghans sitting cross-legged. So they start patting them down and so on to check their papers. A colleague tells him, "Stop, don't touch him, he has tuberculosis." These guys had prescriptions for tuberculosis medication and they had scabies. So when you're a police officer and you've been through that, when you've been around those kinds of people, you have to go through a series of tests when you get back, so you don't contaminate your children, your wife. And as a police officer's wife, I experience it, but it happens regularly. My husband was bitten by a Comorian in Brest, and I was pregnant at the time with our little girl. Well, he had to undergo a series of tests so that in case he was infected with a disease, he wouldn't contaminate me. And when he leaves in the evening, yes, you never know what could happen in Brest. I tell myself it's just Brest. And anything can happen because we've let just anyone in. The mayor, François Coyandre, a Socialist Party mayor, was pleased to have welcomed the Afghans to France. After 2021, the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan, he was pleased that his city was welcoming to all Afghan refugees. So I believe that this mayor put the population and my husband in danger by welcoming these Afghans who are dangerous. We don't know their origin. 90% are young men. Stay strong. Thank you.
To you, to me, to all of us.
Yes, that's right. And it's sad because everything becomes dangerous, ugly, and we no longer feel at home. I don't know, for me, if talking helps, we've moved past that stage of dialogue. I'm unsure if a dialogue is needed.
And me, when I try to have a dialogue, I can see that on the other side, there's no dialogue possible. With certain individuals, yes. But overall, when there's a group that gets together, etc., it's just for themselves.
Yes, that's it. And also, people hold it against you because you show up. They say you're a fascist, you come here to provoke us, but actually you're just coming to get others to talk. Yes. There you go. So, if they had nothing to feel guilty about in the end, Why does it bother them that you're there?
On issues like delinquency, violence, and drug trafficking, we should agree on that in theory. Yes, especially if you live in a neighborhood. If I lived in a neighborhood with crime and drug trafficking, I would be against it. And so I would support those who come to report it, obviously. I wouldn't punish those who come to report it. That's strange.
I don't...
Wouldn't take it personally.
I wouldn't say...
No, I'm the target. Actually, they're after the delinquents. And yet for them, no, there's something strange.
Yes, but it's like their reaction when they see a police officer. I mean, there's something in this new generation that we call the New France, which is ultimately a hatred of everything that represents France. And not just institutions like the police, but the French people too. Ethnic French people, in fact. Honestly, most of the time they hate us. There are some really good ones, I can't generalize. But most of the time they hate us. And I think it's only getting worse.
You can give the answers. No, he said fascist. He said fascist. We shouldn't stay here too long. We shouldn't remain in the same place too long. So actually the trouble started here in front of the Tikal. He threatened with a knife, etc. He called a friend who also made threats. The customers over there who arrived, they moved all the way over there. And that's where the assault happened. Let's go check it out. The assault was against 4 police officers, if I'm correct. Actually, to endure years and years and years of threats, false accusations, insults, and so on. I have to admit, it's weighing on me. Even I, who am usually a very optimistic person, it just rolls off me. It's hard. All this because in the end we love France. All this because we love France. And because we don't like what it's becoming. That's all there is to it. All that for this? That's the heart of the matter. It's tragic. It's a Greek tragedy. You know, it could be a divine punishment in Greek mythology. You love your country and for that you endure the punishment. The far right is anti-Semitic. Those who downplay the Holocaust, that's the Le Pen clan. Look, ACAB, all cops are bastards. All police officers are bastards. Okay. Brest Antifa. ACAB. The symbol of anarchy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to interview you.
Just 3 seconds, we have an appointment there.
How are things in Brest, especially regarding crime? Let's get straight to the point.
It could be better.
Oh, is that so? You've been in Brest a while. You know the city.
We've been here practically forever.
So how have you seen this city change in that regard? Please be honest and courageous about this question.
The previous mayor didn't do much about crime. We don't have a municipal police force. We're going to have one with the new mayor. And then the rest of the time during the day, we don't feel bothered. It's mostly in the evening when we feel a little bit okay.
So it's mostly the young people who are affected. It's the young people who go out at night.
Yes, I'm going to be a bit... Oui. A lot of young people, maybe it's the fault of both the parents and the school. A lot of them are too well fed and not well enough educated. Do you see what I mean? That's all I can say about that. But it's not anyone's fault. Maybe it's just the spirit of the times. But in general, in the West, things have developed differently. For example, in some Asian countries still, like in Japan where I have been, it's not like that. Young people still follow the tradition of respecting their elders, for example.
What in France over the last 40 years explains this?
In 1968, long before you were born, children were no longer scolded. They were allowed to do as they pleased. The child became king. So, actually...
We were kind of educated, maybe a bit the hard way, if you will. For example, I didn't really have an adolescence. I spent 5 years with the Jesuits, and then later, military parents, an old-fashioned mom. But in the end, over time, you realize it wasn't such a bad thing after all. The main thing is to be able to move forward in the world with that as your starting point. But I admit that there is some good in change. Stay happy and efficient. Yes, that's it.
You know, happiness is the most important thing there is. Absolutely. You have to keep that flame of happiness alive.
We nurture them.
My God, I envy you, I envy you, I envy you.
There you go. And now, for example, we're going to do something wonderful. We're going to see Compostelle. It's the story of a very old person and a young person with very different backgrounds who find there a kind of path in life, a sort of journey of self-discovery for both of them. For one, the young man, and then the lady who is coming out of serious life problems.
Well, let's hope that France will find this path in life.
We have to hope, yes. No, we must as well. The day we stop hoping, nothing happens. Everything is important. Thank you very much.
That's a slogan for when you have 2 rows, 0 tears for an Asia.
Ah, yes, indeed.
They're good at slogans, but they're terrible at spelling. It's 0 tear, not 0 tears, everyone.
Yeah. Look at that magnificent fort, Charles. Yes, because Thomas is on vacation. It's Charles today who came back to film. Look at this magnificent fort. We'd already seen it in the first episode. Our ancestors built that unassailable fort. Our current leaders have made France a sieve. That's kind of what we need to remember, I think.
There's the little guy with his kefir on a bike over there. He quickly turned around when he took out his phone.
Really? Oh yes, he's filming us now. He's filming us with his phone, damn. All right, let's go. What you have to understand is that a guy like that, with his phone, filming us and posting us on Snapchat or Instagram, potentially in 30 minutes, that could lead to a gathering of young hostile people convinced that they have to fight against fascism by attacking us. That's the barrel right there. He was coming.
Actually, with his knife, and he was scraping the blade on it. And people, when he left, they had really made a circle around him quickly, and then the police intervened with the first taser shot, which didn't work.
All right. So, this is where it happened. There are still marks here.
But maybe, I don't know if it's that one.
They move the barrels in and out, but it's not always that one. Okay, so it's a barrel like that. He sharpened his knife on it before attacking the police officers, right? Okay.
I didn't specify, but the Afghan man I'm telling you about, the one with the knife, had been released the previous Thursday. Because he had intimidated a bus driver.
With a knife?
Yes, in fact, one of the injured cops said, "But I arrested him on Thursday. So what are we waiting for? For a police officer to get stabbed or someone to die?"
Yes, before locking people up?
They give them chances, countless chances, and they get out and they're released. And it's just luck of the draw, and well, good luck to all of you, I guess.
Hello, I am Dejan.
I am Dezan, you know, you're Parisian, right? Yes. Me, I'm homeless, I'm begging because I wouldn't be the kid of a few people who helped out.
Little Kanazi.
Me, I have nothing, but I'm going to get a coffee if you want to come with me. Ah, but it's closed. I can buy you something if you want to eat. I'm hungry too. 65 euros.
Like that, I eat 5 kilos.
In the end, I have nothing. I only have my phone.
Let me see if I've got $5.
Hey guys, kisses. And there are crackers too in Brest, guys. 29,200 nice.
But were you born on the street in Brest? Me?
I was born on the street and I've been struggling in Brest for 9 months. And where were you?
Before?
Well, before I was kind of, you know, Rennes, Lorient, Saint-Etienne.
All right. And why did you move? Why did you come to Brest specifically?
Because I like Brest, really?
Why?
Yes, because this was the first city I came to when I arrived in France.
And where are you originally from?
Originally, my origins. Me, I'm Mahoran, I have origins.
Ah, yes, okay, yes. So from Mayotte, yes? All right, okay. There's a Mahoran community here, right?
Yes, there are Mahoran communities everywhere. Thanks, everyone. I have to go. Wait.
No worries. What's it like out on the street here? Tell me. What's the atmosphere like? Well,
It's going really well.
is it complicated or not, honestly?
Well, it's not easy, but it's okay.
I mean, in terms of delinquency and all, is there any...
Not too much violence. Is it okay? No, it's okay.
Compared to Mayotte, is it true that it's peaceful?
Yes.
It has to be said,
Yes, you were in Mayotte.
too. Of course, I was in Mayotte. Well, yeah.
You also filmed the slums and everything.
Mayotte is beautiful, really. Well, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was watching. Well, that too, man. I just wanted to be in it. Come on, man. Nice.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
The guy who filmed us when we were about to start again, he warned his Antifa friends in a group on social media to say that you were there.
Well, let's move.
Do you want to see? He's heading towards Chateau. He's with 2 guys. There's some kind of procession of fanatics.
He's going to Chateau. Should I show the message?
I think the Chateau is over there, so we won't go.
Well, no, but we're turning the car around. It tires me out.
It's unbelievable. It's Easter Monday. You come to question people in Brest, and then you have the Antifa activists gathering to attack you, actually, just because we don't have the same... I don't see why else, really.
No, it's a message that basically says, let's get together and go find him. That's kind of the idea. Yes, of course. I'm not at ease. I'm telling you, I understand.
But you've been attacked so many times?
So I know where this can lead, and it can lead to something not cool, because the question is, can they gather 15 people right now?
I don't know.
Are you sure about that? Yeah.
Yeah, if we were in Rennes, I don't know. Here?
Then upstairs, I would, if there are 2 LFI offices, if you want a little excitement, we can totally go see them. No?
Honestly, I'm not looking for confrontation.
It's not about confrontation, it's to talk. I love talking, debating with these people.
I love talking, but I don't like being insulted. They don't want dialogue, just insults.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's not my fault. There's nothing I can do.
I swear I showed you earlier, I have nothing.
I don't have anything else. I only had that. It was there, but I thought,
That I put in my pocket, and when I looked, it was gone, guys.
that's not my fault. I can't help you.
I have like $4, $5, no.
That's all I had. That's all I had. It was the only bill I had. You have to look for it. And if you lost it, it must be around here. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. It might be the same if someone recognizes me. Hello?
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I know you. I'm okay. You can see that, right?
Yeah. How's it going in Brest?
Well, it's fine. It's quiet.
It's quiet? Yeah. I don't know what's at stake.
Well, it's sunny. People are out. Everyone's outside.
So you work? You do deliveries? Yeah, deliveries not too hard?
Yeah, sometimes we watch shows. Sometimes there's rain.
Oh, does it rain a lot in Brest?
Well, always.
Where are you from, sir?
I'm from Afghanistan.
Afghanistan? Afghanistan? Let's talk about it. Why did you leave your country, Afghanistan? Why?
Well, why did I leave my country? Yes. Because you don't know Ba.
No, I don't know Afghanistan.
Well, there's always war over there.
Oh yeah, is it?
Oh yeah, because of the war.
Is it better in France?
Well, better than France. Well, I'm here. There are better places than here.
And do you, as an Afghan, think that the Afghans around you behave well in France or not?
I'm not stupid, Pierre.
Actually, when you look at the crime statistics, Afghans are overrepresented in crime. They engage in trafficking, stuff like that, assaults on women. Do you see that or not? I'm not saying you're a criminal. But in the Afghan community, there's more delinquency than among native French people, the original French.
Well, I didn't really understand your question because I don't speak French very well.
Delinquency, do you understand the word delinquency?
No, I don't know what that is.
Violence, violence, violence.
No.
Not even that. The thefts are
The thefts, huh? Thefts.
assaults.
Ah, no, I've never done that.
You know, I'm not saying you. But on the other hand, the Afghans know.
No, never you. Never you, the Afghans, yeah.
Because according to the numbers from the Ministry of the Interior, Afghans are overrepresented. There are more Afghans who commit thefts, etc.
Yeah, there are some who did. I have in Brest, I didn't even keep it here. Oh yeah? There are people who steal, there are people who... There are how... I don't know how to tell you.
You work, not involved in trafficking?
Trafficking?
Cigarettes?
No, never. Never dealt. We worked well, look.
Normally on Monday evenings, there's an Antifa general meeting in Brest at the Union Hall, but it's closed today because it's Easter Monday. So they plan to do it outdoors anyway.
Okay.
I'm not sure what time it is. It's usually late afternoon.
There's an Antifa general meeting. Wow, they really hold assemblies. I'm glad I had this discussion with the Afghan. I'm not sure a leftist would have done it.
Absolutely.
That's the paradox. People criticize me for 1,000 things, but actually, I'm almost one of the only ones who gives people a chance to speak with kindness. You see, really literally with kindness.
And he knew you. And he had sympathy for you. And there's something else. He spoke French. A little. He's been here for 8 years. After all, he speaks a little French. The one I mentioned earlier, not a word. That's it, not a word. Even though he'd been in France since 2017. So there's also this cultural difference with the language.
Individuals adapt differently to society. In his case, for example, he's here, he says, I'm here for my rights, I'm not here to bother anyone. But you have others, they think differently.
It's better than in his country.
There you go. I'm tired. I'm tired, actually. I'm tired.
And then it's depressing too.
Yeah, of course, it's depressing.
You're aware that you're exposed, that anything can happen. Yeah. There are reactions that are both friendly and others that are really aggressive.
Yeah, of course, it's both at the same time. And that's disturbing, it's not natural. The substance is unfair, because actually I'm being attacked, I'm being insulted. People attribute intentions to me that I don't have, and ideas that aren't mine. All I have is that I love France, and for that they call me far right, a fascist, and so on. I think it's the same for you. You see, we're just concerned about the direction France is going in, and it's undeserved. In any country, our reaction would be normal, but in France, we're labeled neo-Nazis.
Actually, it's normal to want those who arrive to respect your country. If you don't respect my country, if you come to cause trouble, make it uglier, wreck it, change it, you have no business being here. It's not racist, it's not xenophobic, it's completely normal. And we're the ones who look like the bad racists, of course.
Let me tell you, I actually think the French are xenophiles. They like foreigners.
Yes, and that's what's really frustrating.
But yes, of course, they are xenophiles. Not only are they not xenophobic, they actually prefer foreigners.
Foreigners in many areas, and that's also true. In politics, we see it, it's discouraging.
That is to say, there are many French people who see someone different and start dreaming about otherness, about difference, all that. They have a kind of empathy, they have compassion for the other, because he is more fragile, poorer, more... And for that, yes, but that's still no reason for France to disappear.
No, of course.
That's the thing?
Absolutely not.
Personally, I think the drive is beautiful, to reach out to others, to say, well, we have a country and France is a beautiful country, France must live.
But I want to tell you, even if they are nice, if they work, if they... There you go. If they come to our country in large numbers too, it's a problem.
Of course.
And when you say that, you're almost taking it to the next level of racism. At that point, you're really bordering on racism. And yet it's still completely normal to say that, yes.
All right.
Yes, there's one behind.
Oh, look, right here.
Come,
Are you one of the ones who are welcome here? Who are you?
but come and say it.
The owner of the Tikal, the one who just opened the bar, he's a leftist. That's where the first assault happened. He refused to serve the Afghan a drink who later called his friend. It's a bar that's known, you know, for... Yeah. He filed a complaint but didn't attend the hearing. Right now I see that he's watching us, so I think he doesn't really like us coming to film his bar and tell the story, I think.
Yeah, they're staring at us. They have a hard time with democracy, huh?
Yes, and freedom of speech. And right away it's hate, aggression. It's unbelievable. They don't have the same upbringing, actually.
If we don't see things from their perspective right away, it's considered violence.
Yes, they preach tolerance and accuse us of lacking it, but they're actually the most intolerant people I've met.
Of course.
And the most hateful, really.
Yeah, of course. Can we go somewhere quiet and beautiful? Of course, please. Yeah. Like somewhere by the sea in France?
There's a new message.
Oh, damn. Is that in a far-left group? Yeah, and is that the exact place where we are right now? Yes, right now, down at the bottom of Siam by the castle?
No, what makes me smile is take care of yourselves. That's it.
Yeah, let's go, guys. Let's find a beautiful, calm, and quiet place.
But here, we're calm, we're downtown, there's no risk except for 2 or 3, verbal altercations.
I know you want some excitement and fury.
I like action, but here there's nothing. This isn't action. 2 or 3 idiots walk by just to say something to us from a distance.
It's piling up.
We aren't welcome, but it's fine, that's all.
It's nothing now, but it could become something, and I don't want that. I'm not seeking conflict, despite what people on YouTube think.
No one is looking for conflict.
But also,
Antifa, yes.
they're looking for a clash. It's funny because they create the clash, they're the ones looking for it, obviously, but then they accuse me of looking for it, actually. You're provoking us. Dude, actually, just be normal, chill, and you'll see I'm just here to do a...
Report in the neighborhood. Well, how horrible to come and do a report. It couldn't be worse.
What? But you're not a journalist. Actually, in France, precisely, we have the right to report without being a journalist. That's the concept of democracy and freedom of expression. And that's what protects us from dictatorship. Because in places where you have to be a credentialed journalist to film, generally, that's called North Korea, that's called Russia, that's called China, and those aren't examples of democracy. The concept that anyone can inform the public is precisely a pillar of democracy, and that's something they have trouble understanding, you know? They'd like it to be a dictatorship where you need a stamp of approval from the authorities to be able to film or interview people. Yeah, that's called North Korea, and that's not my model of society.
They understand well, but only for themselves. That means that when they want to report, when they want to do street interviews, when they want to do live streams, obviously they have all the rights. Because they're on the side of approved thinking. They're on the side of political correctness. They have the right ideology. So they have all the rights, but people who don't agree with them have no rights at all. So the problem isn't that you're not a credentialed journalist, it's that you don't share their views.
But yes, of course.
You have to agree with them down to the smallest detail. Because you see, for several months, even years, even the Socialist Party, even the environmentalists have been called racists far right by La France Insoumise. Who will one day in turn be called right-wing racist? That's for sure. For example, the far-right tendencies within Revolution Permanente, some activists are not far from that.
To consider Mélenchon, Mathilde Panot as crypto-fascists with their Jason Blanc style, etc., it's terrible, of course.
But on the other hand, that's France today. We have to face that. We have to, like you do, and you do it very well, go out into the street, try to talk with these people, show their true colors. Believe it or not, it moves things forward, it changes minds. Seeing them like that, aggressive and in such an intellectual void, that is to say, these guys, when you ask them the question, what is a fascist, what does it mean? The far right, who can't even form a proper sentence, who can't say a single correct word, it shows the general public the abyssal void these people suffer from, their intellectual emptiness. So these reports are extremely beneficial, they need to be made. I know people are stressed, so am I.
Like, it's really great. And here we are, in a quieter place, facing the sea. It's exactly what I was looking for after all that tension. Thank you all for following this report. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll likely do part 3 with Nazim someday. There's still a lot to discuss about Brest and France overall. And Charles and I are going to take a moment in front of this beautiful landscape with the boats and beautiful France, peaceful France, France. Thank you. Are you able to make a living? Are you able to make a good living? And where do you live? Where do you stay?
At one point, there was talk of an Afghan serial rapist in Brest.
He's a delinquent who thinks he's a big shot. He's from the Kerorian neighborhood. He and his friends run a drug-dealing spot, and it's a disaster.
A few years ago, the Alliance Union said the police's problem was the justice system, which is true.